With us, very kind heart person, Dr. Vaisali Thakkar Madam, who is the Professor Anand College of Pharmacy. She has more than 20 years of teaching experience and 12 years of the research experience at the UG and PG level respectively. She was joined the Anand Pharmacy College as a lecturer and was subsequently selected for the post of assistant professor, and now she is the professor at the same institute. Her area of research is formulation, development of novel drug delivery system, vaginal drug delivery system, and the pulmonary delivery systems. She has published more than 64 research papers in national and international level and well-reputed journal. Dr. Vaisali did her PhD from the Sardar Patel University in the year of 2013. Dr. Vaisali is a recognized PG and PhD guide at Gujarat Technological University. Ma'am has mentored over 100 postgraduate students on their research project. She has received award from Indian Pharmaceutical Association for her research work on 22nd July 2016, Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award in 2013 and 2014. She has filed 13 patents related to the 3D printed tablet, novel packaging system, and novel formulation. She has received more than 50 lakhs rupees of the research grant from various funding agencies like Gujcoast, DST, Srishti, BIRAC, and SSIP. She is the life member of the IPA and the Indian Hospital Pharmacy Association. She had been invited as a resource person in more than 30 national and international conferences and seminars. Uh, she has acquired the handling skill for almost all the software used in the pharmacy field, like Design Expert, DD Solver, PK Solver, Kinetica, AUC calculation, Minitab, Sigma Plot, and Graph Prism, etc. So I welcome you, ma'am, in our faculty development program. And now I request to ma'am to take the charge of this session.
Thank you very much, Nitin, for giving a elaborated introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank AICT for organizing or giving such kind of opportunity to the teachers so they can learn about the teaching learning pedagogy. At the same time, I would like to thank Principal Ma'am, Jolly Parikh Madam, and Naitik, the coordinator of event, and one man army who are executed the entire event very efficient way. So first of all, before talking about the teaching learning, uh, you were already learn about lot of the things during the session. So in my session, I'm going to talk about the various kind of tools and technologies that will be available for the teaching learning purpose, because nowadays the era of a teacher, that will be the digital era. So everyone has to equip with the digital skill and digital literacy that become a part of teaching learning process. So I'm going to talk about all the different technology and tools and how it can be helpful, and certain tools and technology we were implement in our organization. So that part is I'm also going to discuss with you. Now, whatever things, before starting my presentation, I would like to say that whatever information I am compiled from the various resources, that resource are reliable. Whatever the example I am cited here, it is a one kind of a guideline, and that is taken from the public resources, and it is exclusively for education purpose. But if you wanted to do the copy, or if you wanted to use for the commercial purpose, you required a prior permission. Okay, and this content cannot be used by anyone without taking approval, because many things is happen, it could be copyright. So this is the presentation I made for only the educational purpose and training purpose. Now, the first question is, what is teaching? So as per my perception, teaching is a art. Teacher is a creator. the teacher are artists who can understand the topic very effective manner, and teacher has to adopt the various strategy, the various techniques through which the slow learner, the student who cannot do the grasping fastly, the slow learner can be transformed into the fast learner. So teaching is an art. Again, I can say that teaching is a science. How it is a science? Because as a teacher, you are a scientist. You need to do a lot of experiment during the teaching learning process. Because once you do the experiment, you can improve, or the student can learn the thing more effectively. So teacher should be a scientist. Why it is scientist? But teacher has a inclination to do various kind of experiment. Not only do the experiment, the teacher has to take the feedback. They should evaluate whether whatever experimentation I done in a teaching learning process, whether it is effective or not. So teacher has to learn the skill of data analysis. Okay, so teaching is a science, and the third part is teaching is a craft. Why I can say that's craft? Because you are train the student with a certain sets of skill. The students are learning the skill. Okay, during a PG program, students are learning the research skill. During the UG program, the students are gaining the basic knowledge regarding the subjects, and they are learning the various instruments and equipments. So in teaching process, we have to train the student in a such a way they will learn the various skill through their experience. Now teaching is a highly complex and multidimensional process, and I can say that teaching is like a old wine. It becomes more tasty when the teachers become old, because the teacher has all the concept. The teacher are knowing each and every concepts, so things become more interesting. So it is just like old wine. Now, whenever teacher, they are doing the teaching to the student, so what was the objective? The first objective is they wanted to develop a love or interest on specific subject matter which the students are learning. So developing a love and interest, that is the first requirement. Another thing is, for a UG student, we are focusing on that student should improve the writing ability. Student can answer the question more effectively. Student will have a depth of the knowledge. At a PG level, what is our expectation is, or PhD level, students will improve with the writing ability. The student can write the research paper. And ultimately, we wanted to develop a critical and innovative thinking capability. That is the main motto or objective of teaching. Okay. Now, how we can assess, or how we can say that we can transfer the knowledge effectively? We can transform the knowledge effectively if we are able to change the average student to motivational student. Those students who are having a less interest in a study, and that student are transformed into the motivated student. So that is a parameter regarding the effectiveness of teaching. Or mediocre students are transformed to the good student. So these parameters are indicated. Okay, these are the evaluationary criteria about the teacher, how teacher are teaching the students. Now, what kind of teaching techniques you are adopting? It's depend upon situation, resources, and what kind of students. Now, if you are teaching a UG level, you don't require a hi-fi or any kind of a hi-fi study and all these things. Your main focus is a simplicity and clarity of a thoughts. You should give the concept, okay, and that concept should be transferred in a very simplified manner. At a PG level, the novelty part is important, and at the PhD level, the creativity is important. So there are different approaches you can adopt to improve the teaching learning skill. Okay, now at UG level you can do one experiment. You can give some minor projects to the student, and you can ask the student, go to the library, refer some current journals. Suppose you are teaching a micro emulsion topic, so you can give him, or you can give the projects related for the preparation of micro emulsion. If you are teaching the drawing, you can ask that, perform the drying process in microwave and perform the drying process in tray dryer and do comparison. So such kind of a small projects, they may be helpful to learn the basic concept and the basic principle of the subject matter. So at UG level, you can do such kind of experimentation and you can enhance the learning experience. Now, as a teacher, what kind of qualities we are expected? Now, these are some basic quality which is required for the teacher. The teacher should be knowledgeable. The teacher should be a simple. The teacher should have a skill. The teacher should having the skill of various kind of a demanding scenario. Okay, the teacher has a knowledge. The teacher has a self-learning capability, a curiosity. Okay, such kind of characteristic is required, and the most important thing is positive attitude. The teacher should have a positive attitude to learn the things and change according to the scenario. Similarly, the teacher has a capability to train the student where the knowledge can be applied. So these are some criteria and qualities which we are expecting from the teachers. Now, in addition to this basic quality, in a 21st century, one more additional qualities we are expecting from the teacher, and that quality is digital networking skill or digital and networking capability. Now you must be knowing that the educational system are undergoes to the various transformation, like it, education one system, our main focus is when we are learning what happened, teacher are coming into class, we are giving the lectures and just we are memorizing. That is the first. Now after that, the internets and net surfing is done, so the students are learning through the internet. This is the second generation of education system. And the third generation is knowledge producing education system, because the students having enough knowledge, the students are having enough resource. So now transformation is occur in a knowledge based education system. And now we are in a education 4 era, where the innovative producing education systems are required. So education 4 system need to align the industry
Hello.
4 revolution, because we have to prepare the student for our next industrial revolution, and we need to consider that situation also. Now, if we are talking about the digital learning, or we are talking about the education 4 system, okay, so here interactive learning or interactive teaching, that will be the integral part, because in an interactive teaching methodology we are giving the instruction to the student so they can actively participate or involved in a learning process. Now this interaction, either student teacher interaction, student interaction, you can use audio visuals, videos, hands-on training, any kind of software demonstration. So these kind of activity we can plan for the interactive learning. So learning process should not be a one-way process. It should be a two-way process. And if you wanted to go for the interactive learning, the teacher has to have the knowledge of technology. The teacher has a good networking capability. The teacher must be knowing that how to do the video call, how to prepare a video, how to do the editing of a video. So teacher has to acquire the multiple digital skill, and teacher should have a networking skill also, because they can connect the student more effectively if the teachers are having a good networking skill. So that is a basic requirement for the teaching learning process. Now, in a teaching learning process, we need to adopt an innovative learning process. Now, what do you mean by innovative learning process? Means you cannot limit the learning process to the textbook only. You can give the training to the student in a multiple formats. You can show them a video. You can give the training of a software or various kind of other simulation training. So student can learn the thing beyond the textbook, because now all the resources are available. आप क्लास में पढ़ाओगे या नहीं पढ़ाओगे, student will get all the resources from various sources. But how you involved, how you engage the student for teaching learning process, that is very, very important. Second important aspect of a learning is collaboration. Okay, you need to do the collaboration with the teachers, a colleague, a senior, alumni, and you can enrich your teaching material, and you can enrich your knowledge. So collaboration is also the important part of innovative learning process. The next is active participation. Student has to involve all the kind of activity. Student has to learn the various kind of a skill in addition to a basic course, in addition to a basic degree. That is the need or requirement of the era. And to make the learning process more effective, there should be a robust feedback system. You need to continuously take the feedback about your innovative teaching learning. So there is a scope of improvement, or there is a scope of enhancement. So this is the way we can do the teaching learning. Now through this video, I wanted to convey that before becoming a digital teacher or techno savvy teacher, the first part is we should be a great human being or great teacher. That is the basic requirement. Is it audible?
No, madam.
Yeah.
So in this previous session, we are just talking about the how we can transform the knowledge in a digital era. Okay, what is the teaching, what is the quality of teaching, what are the digital skills are required. Okay, now we need to think about various tools and approaches for the such kind of teaching learning process. So what are the tools and approaches we can adopt? The first is flipped classroom. So this is the first approach and first technology we need to adopt in case of innovative teaching learning process. In this model, the students are required to watch uploaded videos. It may be videos related to the instrument, equipment, anything which is related to your syllabus and subject matter before attending the class. Now, the best part of this, student can re-watch the video repeatedly so that fundamental gets clear. Okay, in regular classes it may happen the students are not focused and students are not getting that particular point. So the best part of flipped classroom is here pre-recorded lectures or pre-recorded notes or material, everything that should be given in advance. So student has to learn, the student has to read all the material as well as recorded video. Now, these videos should be viewed by students. Now, during the regular class session, you can devote the more time for discussion, you can devote the more time for exercise, or you can devote the more time for the in-depth discussion. Okay, so this is the concept of a active learning where student get engaged. Okay, and this is the way we can design our course. Now in traditional method, what happened, teacher are coming into classroom, they are giving the lecture and they are giving us some activity at home. But here the things are opposite. The lectures and material, everything will be given before 1 or 2 days of lectures, and student has to do all the activity during the classroom. So this is the flipped classroom approach. Now this classroom approach has several benefits. The one thing is the teacher can spend more time with one-to-one student. The teachers can interact and ask the student, have you understand the concept? What kind of things you are learn through this flipped classroom? So that is the first benefit. Second important thing is we can cater the everyone requirements, because the some students are slow learner, the some students are fast learner. So based on that, we can cater the requirements. Now this approach is more suitable for UG classroom because more than 100 students are sitting and that requirements are different. So you can help them as per the learning capability. So this is the benefit. It is suitable for those moody student. They wanted to learn in odd hours. आप जब क्लास में पढ़ा रहे हो, they are not listening or they are not giving focus or concentration. So in that cases, such kind of videos and such kind of material will be helpful, and they can learn in odd time. Now, the personal attention, sometimes it is difficult to achieve in a large class, but through flipped classes, we can satisfy the individual requirement, because some students having a few doubts, so you can clear that doubts during the classroom. So such kind of modification we can do in a flipped classroom. So this is the benefit of flipped classroom. So first approach is you can think about the flipped classes and student can learn. You can think about the minor research project. I gave you the example how you can engage the student and how student can learn the fundamentals through doing some experiment. The next is Facebook and WhatsApp group. Many professors, they are maintaining that Facebook pages and specifically WhatsApp group. And through this Facebook and WhatsApp group, they are transferring all the material, they are sharing the videos. So the teaching learning process becomes faster. So this is the another approach which we can adopt for the effective teaching learning process or active teaching learning process. The next is you can include the animation in your teaching material or in your PowerPoint presentation. So why we need to incorporate the animation in our teaching learning process? Because animation is a creation of illusion of movement using a series of images, and these animations are used in a various fields like pharmacy, engineering, medical. Now, why animation is important in teaching learning process? Because when you show the animated material or lecture notes, your success rate will be more than 80%. But the same thing, you are simply teaching via lecture notes or PowerPoint presentation, your success rate will be less, 50 to 60%. So animation has a significant impact on a teaching learning process. You can see that by showing that animation, you can train them. These are the various parts of tablet machines. These are the process, how the machines are working. So student can remember what are the parts, what are the process, when the question was asked regarding the operation of rotary tablet machine. So such kind of things you can incorporate in your presentation, so things become easy. Similarly, spray drying and micro encapsulation. So such kind of animation, the instrumental animations are available. So student can grasp the concept, student can understand the basic principle, and student can visualize how the process will occur at the commercial level and industrial level. So such kind of animation concept we can include in our PPT. So we can increase the uh, effectiveness of our teaching process, teaching learning process. Now the next approach is you can use the QR code for teaching learning process. Now question is that how QR code is helpful for teaching learning process. QR code is nothing but it is a quick response code. It is a machine readable code which is consisting of a black and white square. Now QR code you can scan with a smartphone and camera. Nowadays everyone has a smartphone. Everyone can do the scanning and they can download. Now QR code that will be helpful in a higher education. You can use that QR code in a pharmacy colleges, because majority of students they are run after the teacher to get that notes and presentations. So teacher will give them a notes to in form of a QR code. You can give your QR code so student can download your presentation. So here QR code is a perfect solution to converting the teaching material into the QR code and give it to the students, because many times the teachers are giving a very notes, old notes, and student will damage वो notes घुमा देगा या फिर उसको उसको डैमेज कर देगा. But to avoid such things you can go with the QR code. Now what is the benefit of QR code? You can share in a Word file, Excel file, PowerPoint, even video that you can share with the help of QR code. So the thesis of a student, the poster presentation, the conferences, SOP of instrument, labels, figures, even at your medicinal garden, you can stick the QR code near to the nameplate of the plant. The student can scan the QR code and they can find out what is the name of plant, what is the chemical constituent, what is the use. So this way, the things become easy to learn by the student. Now I'm giving the example of my college where we are using a QR code for the SOP. Now there are two kind of QR code are pasted on instrument. Majority of time it has happened the instrument was somewhere and SOP is pasted on some other places, and the nobody are reading or nobody are referring the SOP. So here what we did, we wrote a SOP and that SOP is converted into the QR code. Now blue color QR code, that is the SOP which is written, and a green color QR code, that is the SOP of video. So you can directly download the video how to operate the instrument. So student wanted to use that particular instrument or particular equipment. So first of all, student should take the scan of video and student should learn how to operate the equipments. So this is the way you can use the SOP. You can update the SOP without doing the printing and all this thing. So it is a environment friendly approach also. So this approach we can use for the learning process. Now, in addition, a question paper, a books, a syllabus, we have a practice that GTU paper and internal paper that is converted into the QR code, and that should be given to the WhatsApp group or Google Classroom. So student can easily download all the exam papers and books and syllabus book and everything. So that will be a very handy or effective approach. Now, if you wanted to generate the QR code, I'm just summarize the step. I think everyone is a techno savvy, everyone must be knowing. But if you wanted to generate the QR code, you have to upload your file in a Gmail or Google Drive and convert it into the shareable link. Once it is converted into the shareable link, you can go to the QR code generator website, and after converting the QR code website, what happened? We can create the QR code, and within 1 minute you can download the file or you can save. So this is the way we can use QR code. One more approach I wanted to say, that during the online teaching, you can ask the student go for the virtual training or virtual tour. I can show you 1 minute. This is the video, you can show it. Now this is a movable type of a video, 360 degree. So you can arrange a virtual tour in your online classes. You can ask the student, we will visit today one industry. Now this is a movable, so you can move each and every corner of industry, and you can explain them. You can explain that each and every component are made up of a stainless steel, even staircase. You can explain that whatever the corner part, that part is also having a concave shape. So you can explain the importance of also. So this is a 360 degree mobile virtual videos are available, and student will get the knowledge. So when you're teaching a tablet subject, you can arrange a virtual tour of tablet department. So now student can learn the things more effectively. Now here you have a flexibility. You can see each and every corner, and your mouse, with the help of this mouse, you can move the direction at any site. You can explain what is HEPA filter, what will kind of light and facilities are available. So by making such kind of things, the learning process become easy. You can give the explanation of QA department, QC department. You can give the concept of HEPA filter, what will be the gowning procedure. So lot of things student can understand through this kind of learning process. How the warehouse, how the storage area, how the material will be stored. So such kind of virtual tool that you can arrange. So there is a website of 360 virtual tour that you can refer, and you can do searching of anything. You can also visit, you can do the visit of Patanjali Medicinal Garden. So you can arrange such visit also. So such kind of 360 virtual tour, that could be the part of your teaching learning process. So things become more interesting. The next is creation of a e-content, because when you design any syllabus and you are thinking about the digital learning, so you need to create the digital technological learning. So there are three types of learning: electronic learning, mobile learning, and digital learning. Now electronic learning, just we have lecture notes and videos and DVDs and TV channels, that is considered to be electronic learning. Mobile learning, that means You can transfer the learning process anywhere, any place. There is no boundary. If you wanted to learn the things through TV channel, you have to sit in front of TV. You required certain setup, you required certain facility. But mobile learning, it become a complete change. Now the things you can learn anywhere, any place. And the thing is digital learning. In digital learning, the high quality of academic materials are delivered through interactive and adaptive softwares. So now various kind of e-learning softwares are available through which the active learning is possible. Now, what are the advantage of e-learning? The best advantage is anytime, anywhere. The things are accessible 24 hours and 7 days per week. Now, this approach is a student-centric approach. Okay. Another important thing is the cost of delivery is very less because you have a soft copy. You don't require a hard copy. You don't have to go to particular place. The transportation cost. So it is a cost-effective approach, and you can get the global audience. This FTP is a classical example because there is no boundary. Throughout the India, any person can connect and any person can join. You can bring the expert into the classroom. Suppose you are teaching a Brahmankar, so you can request the Brahmankar sir to join your class and give their expert comments and suggestion during this learning of pharmaceutical engineering subject. So you can bring the expert into the classroom and you can make the teaching process more interactive. You can arrange a virtual trip instead of field visit. So student will learn the things more effective way. So learning is possible even in a COVID era. We are sitting at home, but still the learning process is going on. So that is the best part of learning content or e-content. The major disadvantage is you require computer, internet, you require certain basic computer skill, plagiarism and copyright issue. You can't do the copy from everywhere. You need to worry about the copyright. Okay. E-learning leads to the social isolation. There is no interactions. And it is very difficult to prevent the cheating during the examination. We all are facing the same problem. The students are doing the cheating in examination. So this is the biggest disadvantage of e-learning. Now, how we can deliver the e-learning material? So there are 4 different approaches: a simple learning process, interactive, electronic simulation, e-tutoring and collaborative learning, and virtual classes. Now, what is a simple learning? Simple learning, that means it is a non-interactive. The teachers are not involved. We are just dump the documents, PPT, videos, audio clips, syllabus, everything was given to the student and you have to learn by yourself. That is called the simple learning. The second is interactive learning. Interactive learning, that means there is an interactive e-lessons. Means you are giving a animation, audios, videos, you are asking the question, you are interacting with the students, you are taking the feedback. So such kind of learning process, it is known as the interactive learning process. Third is a simulation of highly interactive learning. A simulation of highly interactive learning, that means with the help of AI technology, artificial technology, you can feel the same environment and you can learn the things. Okay, so 360 virtual degree, that could be the classical example of a electronic simulation approach. So the student can feel that they are in an industry and they are learning how the tablet are working, how the HEPA filters are located, what is the functionality of HEPA filters. So this is a simulation based learning process. The next is job task related learning, because sometimes the person has required the certain skill, they should perform the certain task, and for performing the task the person has a decision skill. So in this kind of learning process, what happened, they are approaching the technical people, they are asking the advice, and based on advice of an expert, the worker, the person, they can complete their project, they can complete their proof of concept. So such kind of approaches are also there. That is also learning approach. The next is e-tutoring, coaching and mentoring. So in this case, one-to-one support is provided. A one-to-one customized support, because certain students are slow learners, some students are fast learner. So according to the needs of the students, you are facilitating or you are helping them to learn the various concept. So that is called the e-mentoring concept. The next is collaborative learning. Collaborative learning approach, that means here there is a discussion forum, there is a knowledge sharing forum where you can put your query, and with the social media or with the such kind of collaborating groups, you are understanding the concept like ResearchGate. You can put your query, the many experts across the globe, they will give you an answer, they will give you the suggestion. So this is the collaborative learning process. Same way the dissolution forum is also there, so you can put your any question related to the dissolution study, so you will get the answer. So this is called the collaborative learning approach. The next is virtual classes. Virtual classes where the instructor or teachers, they are sitting remotely and they are interacting with the student, just like our FDP. We all are sitting here and we are learning the things. Okay, so this is called the synchronous learning process. Now there are two kind of learning, synchronous and asynchronous. Now in synchronous, what happened? There is a live webcasting, a live video, a live chat, a polling, one-to-one interactions. Now in this paid version of Google Meet, the polling option is also there. You can put some comments and you can ask the audience or the student to give their opinion, whether they are agree or they are not disagree. So such kind of interactive tools are available. While asynchronous, that means you are sending the mail, you are with Wikipedia or blogging or discussion forum. So this mode of learning is known as the asynchronous. So nobody are coming to live and nobody are doing one-to-one interactions. So that is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. Now, if you wanted to create any e-content, you need to adopt a specific approach or specific steps. Now, what are the approach and what are the steps are involved? The first is you should do the analysis. When you decided to create the content, you have to identify what is the requirement of learner. Then you should clear about what is your objective. Then you have to develop the learning resource. Now, before developing the learning resource, it is very much important that you have to validate that resource. And how you are implementing that resource, that is important. And the last part is you have to do the evaluation, how effectively you can transform that knowledge to the student. So you should evaluate the syllabus, you should evaluate the effectiveness of learning process by feedback mechanism. So through this process, we can create the learning. In addition, here there are various tools to create the e-content like Easy Generator, iSpring. These all are the software based tools are available. Moodle is also available, which is a freely open source software through which you can deliver the content very effectively. So Easy Generator, it is a online learning tool which help to create the course, quiz, and you will get the 14 days trial version. Similarly, this second kind of these tools, it is used for quiz, then for the ebook, flip classes, video lectures, tutorials, live session, one-to-one interaction, everything can be possible in a one window. That kind of tools are available. Similarly, quiz maker. So this kind of e-learning tools are available. The Think exam. So this is a tool which is specifically designed to conduct the online examination and how you can assess the online assignment, how you can check the assignment. So all the things is possible through this particular tools. And active presenter, this is a on-screen recorder tool through which you can create the video and you can use the authorized software for this particular creation of videos. Similarly, uh, 30 hand storyteller, because teaching via storytelling, that is one of the approach. And if you wanted to create the story, you need a certain support and software. So such kind of storyteller pro software are available through this application. You can create the digital story in your presentation, so you can explain the concept. Similarly, for assignment evaluation, feedback fruit, such kind of software is available. In addition, how you can handle all the files and documents. So various tools are available for management of a content. You have a PDF, you have a video, you have a lot of reading materials, but how to store, how to manage. So Google Form, then Typeform, SurveyMonkey. For storage, Dropbox, Google Drive. For video conferencing, you can go with Zoom, Google Meet, Skype. You can use task management. You can do the note taking. Student can use this software for taking the notes. For meeting planning, you can use the Google Sheets. So these are the various tools that you can explore for managing the in content. Now, in addition to this, a MOOC courses, that is also one of the approach through which we can make the learning process effective. So various kind of MOOC courses are announced for UG student as well as the PG students. The main philosophy behind the MOOC courses is anytime, anyone, anywhere. And specifically NPTEL, the National Program on Technology Enhancement Learning, they are having the 5 different program. One is the PG Pathshala, E-Yantras, and National Digital Library, Shodh Ganga, and Vidwan, and the Oscar. So these are the certain kind of a program that should be handled by the Ministry of Human Resource Development by Government of India. Now these are the some coordinators, various IITs, that UGC and IGNOU, NPTEL, they are involved in such kind of courses. They are involved in such kind of designing of e-content for the various kind of the courses. Now, what is MOOC? MOOC is a massive open online courses. It is available for anyone. It is a flexible. Now, many people are joining the MOOC courses because they wanted to acquire the new skill, they wanted to advance their career, and they wanted to deliver the quality educational experience at a larger scale. So there are the various reasons people are joining the MOOC courses. Now in MOOC courses, basically the contents are classified into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. A one that is related with the e-tutorials. So videos and audios, animation, simulation, virtual labs, everything is available in a first quadrant. In second, the PDF, textbook, ebooks are available. While in a third, the research paper, journals, historical development, articles, that will be available. And the last part, the multiple choice question, matching the question. So last part, it is basically related to the evaluation, assignment, quiz. So for that purpose, it is assigned. So if you see the any kind of MOOC courses or any kind of NPTEL courses, they are classified into 4 different group. Okay, and the person can learn the things. Now, e-Pathshala, it is an open educational resource. There is no teachers are available, but all the kind of teaching material, PPT, everything is available. MOOC courses here, the MOOC courses are announced by coordinator, and the teacher are interacting with a learner during the interaction session. They will resolve the query, and student will get the certificates after completion of the course, and student has to face the examination also. So this is the MOOC courses. Now the third initiative is a national library. A national digital library is available, which is available in Government of India. It is a digital library. More than 3 crores of books and journals are available. Even question banks are also available. And single window search facilities are available, and you can retrieve all kind of the reference book through the digital library. It is available more than 200 plus language. More than 45 lakhs of people are registered, and more than 13,000 of institute. They are the member of National Digital Library. So now mobile based applications are also available. So that resources are also available. Now, what are the challenges are involved in learning or creating of e-content? Because as a teacher, if you wanted to create the such kind of a courses or e-content, what are the challenges? The first thing is we are dependent on technology. You required a certain bandwidth if you wanted to interact. Okay, material incompatibility. अब कोई एप्पल यूज कर रहा है या कोई एंड्रॉयड यूज कर रहा है, and compatibility issue. So that is another technical issue. The third is self discipline and self motivation. Person should having a inclination to learn. You cannot force the person to learn. So that part is important. We can't compare the face-to-face teaching. Uh, Electronic communication cannot be the substitute of face-to-face teaching, because many emotion, many things are involved in a face-to-face teaching. Okay, so that is separate issue. We are much more rely on IT skill, because we need to learn so many software and so many things. And the most important part is plagiarism and copyright. If you are not respecting the plagiarism and copyright, you will face the legal issue. Okay, you will get the notice, and the things become more complicated. Now, for legal part, there are various terminology we are using: copyright, trademark, and patent. Now, the e-content, okay, which is fall under the category of a copyright. It is not considered as a trademark. Any kind of a logo or unique name, that you can consider as a trademark. So Coca-Cola has a trademark. Okay, various companies, Apple has a trademark. Okay, the symbol of Apple, that is a trademark. While copyright is any kind of creation like literature, e-content, PDF file, PowerPoint presentation, drama, any innovative things, it is created by you, it is considered as a copyright. Now patent is any innovation or any research that will be done by you, and you wanted to get the exclusivity, so you can file the patent. Now validity part is different. In copyright, you are getting a lifetime validity plus 60 years after the death of the person. Trademark has a only 10 years validity, and patent, there is a 20 years of validity. So creation of a e-content, or creation of a video, a creation of a various kind of animation, so that is fall under the category of a copyrights. Once you get the copyright, you will get the authorship. There is a no provision of provisional application. Okay, similarly in trademark you can't go for the provisional application, but in case of patent, once you get the idea, you can file the patent, and after the 12-month or within the 12-month, you can file the patent with a complete specification. Okay, so priority date claim, that options are available in a patent, but that options are not available in copyright and trademark. Now, there is no symbolic presentation here. While in case of trademark, there is a symbolic representation. आप कोका कोला या कुछ भी लोगो देखोगे, so there will be a symbol trademark or R, that means registered. So you can say that this is the registered logo, or they got the trademark. So this is the important. Now, when you create anything, so the two things are coming into picture: plagiarism. Suppose you are creating notes or you are creating some reading material, so plagiarism will come into picture. And second is the copyright. Copyright means any kind of creation, any kind of animation, videos, any kind of audios, anything you are created. So that is categorized under the copyright and plagiarism. Now, difference between plagiarism and copyright is you are using someone words without giving the credit. You are taking the uh, entire lines and do the copy paste. That is called the plagiarism. While copyright, that means you are using the someone work without permission, like some videos, music, pictures, prints, anything that you are taking. Now, plagiarism is a unethical practice, while copyright is a illegal. You may face the legal issue. बराबर, हमारे ऊपर कोई, आपके पर कोई भी केस कर सकता है, या you have to do the fight in court and all the things. So all legal issue may be happen. It leads to the court, fine or jail time. Or in case of plagiarism, you will get the zero credit in your assignment, or maybe you are kicked out from the course and college. So this is the difference between plagiarism and copyright. Now, how we can use the copyright? Now you think that how it is possible? We can't do the copy of a single thing. How we can create the content? So there are the several approach regarding the fair use of copyright. The first thing is you have to get the permission from copyright holder. You can ask them, and you can pay the fees for that, and you can get the right. That is the first approach. You can use under the Creative Commons license. So under this license, you can apply, and that person can transfer the license for a specific period of the time. They give the license for 2 years or 5 years. So during that period, you can utilize. The third is free to use any work, but give proper recognition and proper citation. You can't do the copy paste. You should give the credit to that person. Okay, this is not original content. This is not my content, and it is taken from so and so people. So this is the third approach. And the fourth approach is you can use the content under the section of 105 Copyright Act. Under this act, you can select the content for non-commercial purpose. So whatever thing I am presented here, there is no commercial motive. It is only educational and research purpose. So in that cases, the copyright thing is not coming into picture, because your motive is a learning, nothing to do with the earning the money. Okay, so this is the approach. You can take the small part of image which can be cropped, or you can use the things in a different way. You are making a parody. Koi song hoy, if you have any song and you can convert it into parody, so that will be innovative, so that you can use. So fair use of material or copyright for educational purpose. So you can do the copy of any content, but the word limit is less than 250 words, or 10% of work, or less than 1000 word, whichever is less. So you can take that content. Do not use 5 image of one artist, or 10% of total image, or less than 15 image. If certain image or certain kind of animation or certain thing is created, So you cannot take the 5 image or 10% of total images. Student can use 10% or less than 3-minute video. Any video less than 3 minutes you can use. There is no technical issue, and that is only for the educational purpose. There is no commercial intention. Now student can use a 30-second and 30-second of musical composition also. So this is the way you can use the various resources from the internet without affecting the copyright issues and copyright complications. Now plagiarism is a theft of intellectual property. It is one kind of cheating, and that is considered to be indiscipline. Now there are 4 types of plagiarism: copying, patchwork plagiarism, paraphrasing, and unintentional. Copying, that means you are not concerned about that, just you are doing the copy paste and you are not giving the recognition. Okay, so that is called the copying. Second is the patchworking. Patchworking, that means you are copying the certain words or certain key points and you are reframing the sentence in your own word. So that is called the patchwork plagiarism. You can see that this is the original material, and by making a patchwork, my own words and everything will be woven, and this material is ready, and which is a patchwork plagiarism. Okay, so this is the second. Now paraphrasing type of plagiarism means you are summarizing the work without citing the source. You are not giving the any credit to the authors. You are not giving the citation. So that is also considered to be paraphrasing plagiarism. Even you are doing the paraphrasing or patchwork and you are not citing the reference. So it is considered to be plagiarism. Unintentional means the writer is not aware where it is collected and where it is, what is the source. So this kind of plagiarism is also known as the unintentional. Now, if you wanted to prevent such plagiarism issue, there are softwares are available through which you can make your content free from plagiarism or free from the copyrights. So Turnitin softwares are available through which you can verify your thesis, your project, everything, and you can avoid the issue of plagiarism. This is a screenshot of plagiarism thesis. Similarly, Urkund, this is also one of the softwares are available. Through this, we can do the checking and we can find out the percentage of similarity. Now, how we can avoid the plagiarism? So first is we have to search the relevant articles. We have to read it properly, put it into our own words. Okay, do not do the copy of more than 2 words from the same line. एक लाइन में से 2 से ज़्यादा वर्ड आपको लेने नहीं है. And if you put more than 2 words, put a proper citation. So that is important. The most important thing is to avoid the plagiarism is give the citation. Use Manly software. Give the proper citation so you can avoid the plagiarism. Now UGC have drafted the guideline in 2018 and they come with the regulation. So to curbing the plagiarism issue in a higher education, before submitting the thesis, dissertation or any documents, you need to verify the plagiarism. Even NAAC and NBA report you are submitting to authority, that should be also free from the plagiarism. So that is important. So they are taking the various initiative to prevent the plagiarism in a academia as well as creation of e-content. Now based on similarity, they classified the level of plagiarism: 0 level, level 1, 2, 3 and 4. Zero level, that means less than 10%, and level 3 similarity is above than 60%. So based on severity or level of plagiarism, UGC are decided the penalties also. So if a level 0 penalty, no problem, no penalty. 10 to 40%, we can ask to revise the script, okay, within a 6 month or within a stipulated periods, and person can do the resubmission. If similarity is greater than 40 to 60, they should submit the script within 1 year, and if it is greater than 60%, the registration is cancelled, and person is debarred from the college. So this is the penalty that will be mentioned here. We can ask to withdraw the thesis, or we can ask them to leave the course. The admission is cancelled. The person is debarred from the particular courses for 3 years. So such kind of penalty is mentioned. Now recently in 20th April, the UGC also came with a self-plagiarism, because anything which is written by myself, and the same thing I cannot write in my second research paper. So self-plagiarism, self-citation, that should be also avoided, okay? Because it should not add in your citation index or H index. अब मैं अपने ही रेफरेंस को अपने ही पेपर में साइट करती रहूंगी, so that is not acceptable. That is a self plagiarism. So this is the certain concept. Now before concluding my session, I wanted to share the certain myth and reality about teachers. Now people are believing that teaching is a easy job. No? Teaching is a most easy job, but what is reality? It is a tough job. You require a systematic and scientific approach. Research can be done by anyone. No, only those teachers who think out of box, they can do the research. It is not a cup of tea for each and every teacher. Teaching is a 8-hour job with vacation. We are listening from our society. You people are really enjoying. टीचर को तो अच्छा है ना, 8 घंटे पढ़ाना है और समर वेकेशन है, दिवाली वेकेशन है. But what is the reality? Teaching is a 24 hours job. Keep the learning till retirement. Teaching is a service to society. So we can't say that it is a 8-hour job. Teaching method are stagnant. एक बार आपने lecture notes बना दी, things are done. No, I can say that teaching methods are radically changing in the 21st century. Now we are moving from blackboard to PPT to internet, interactive software, tools. So you can't imagine, the many things are changing and many things we have to learn. Okay, so teaching are not a stagnant job. It is a monotonous job. No, you are a good teacher is not sufficient. You should have a documentation skill, administrative skill, communication skill. You have to work under the pressure. Okay, so working in a factory is easy because you are dealing with a machine, but working with a human being, it is difficult because you are working with a live people. They have a emotion. So the things are different. Teaching in a IIT or IIM, that is an easy task because top 5% or very intellectual candidates, they are interacting with you. So 90% they are focused. So their teacher contribution is very less. But the student teachers who are teaching in a self-finance college, they are putting more efforts for the teaching those students. They are not that much intellectual. So I can say that a teaching job is not an easy job. Many times we read such kind of message. Teaching is just like a walking in a park, but the park is Jurassic Park. So I'm concluding my session with this notation. And once again, thank you very much, Principal of AR College of Pharmacy, AICT, and FDP, Atal FDP organizational team, and Naitik for inviting me and giving the opportunity to share my view related to the interactive learning process. So thank you very much. Session is open for question and answer. You can ask any question if you have any query.
If any participant have a doubt regarding the plagiarism and QR code and all the things, then they can ask to the madam. Ma'am, I think participant is waiting for the test link, but I will
Yeah.
provide the test link at the 4 o'clock after the completion of the valedictory program. Madam, you have given us such a nice presentation and you have covered the many points which is nowadays unaware for the me also. Like as the implementation of the QR code and 360 virtual tools and all the things. Because to convert our notes into the QR codes, it is very much essential because it saves the time and also it saves the data of the internet also, and it is easily available to the all the students at any time because they have the mobile, so they can operate that mobile and scan the code. Like as you have given the very informative example that we can keep it into the our garden also, so they can know the botanical name and all the data about the plant also. So we will implement this QR code suggestions and we will suggest it to our institute also, ma'am. And such a nice and wonderful session, and we are very much thankful for giving your valuable time in our FDP. From the entire team of the FDP, we are going to present you the certificate of the appreciation. So, ma'am, kindly accept it. We will send it through the email and we will send the thanks letter in your mail also, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, Naitik. Again, it is a very nice experience to interact with everyone.
Ma'am, there is the valedictory program at 2:30, so I invite and request you to join that valedictory session also, ma'am.
Sure, sure. I will join.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Now
Thank you very
participant
much.
is waiting for the presence link.
Okay. So can I leave?
Naitik sir, one question is there in activity in the Google Meet. One question is posted. Hello. Hello. Naitik sir.
Yes, timing for the test or for how much duration the link for the test will be open. That question or anything else, sir?
Other sir, in the activity section, one question is posted. So it is very
Can you
helpful
tell
for
us
other.
free software for the plagiarism checking? Ma'am, there is the one question from the participant side. Is there any software is available to check the plagiarism at the cost of free software?
Many other plagiarism software online is available, but they are not that much effective. Urkut, that was available with all university. That is a free software. And Turnitin is a very expensive, but Urkut is a comparatively open source software, and that is adopted by UGC, and it is adopted by various universities. So you can ask the ID and everything. Every university has a Urkund assess. So you can, as a faculty of or you are affiliated this particular university, you are eligible for the Urkund. So that is fine, but don't rely on online, because online the thousands of various kind of tools and softwares are available for the plagiarism checking, but they are not that much reliable. So you can select two that should be recommended by regulatory agency like UGC. One is a Urkund and second is a Turnitin.
And one more thing is that there is the PlagScan software is available, which gives you the credit for the some 1500 to 3000 words. You can operate that software by the different email, because in one email it gives you the 1500 to 3000 words limit. So you can check your at the preliminary level. It is not the authenticate, but you can check. Is there anything else, sir? Hello. So now we end the session here, and we will join the valedictory program at 2:30. Thank you very much, ma'am, and all the participants.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.